like 5 or so clients at this point. The 3 things that your niche needs, just give a quick DM example for Instagram, longer, but the call format.
Unbreaking that could really unlock the keys of growth for a lot of people. Hello, agency owners. I hope you are having a good day, and whether you're having a good day or a bad day, I got some good news for you. In this video, I'm going to be bringing on a very good friend of mine known as Emery Britt. Now, when I first met Emery, I had no idea who he was, but Emery was brought to my attention when he set the record for being the fastest person to get a client within the first client challenge. And since then, Emery has seen massive growth within his agency, and what he's going to be doing for you guys is taking some of his valuable time and breaking down each and individual step that he took in order to go from 0 to 5 clients in only a couple of weeks with his SMMA. He's going to walk you through how to pick a niche. He's going to walk you through the Instagram DM scripts that he uses, and then he's going to walk through the do's and don'ts of hopping on a sales call. And there's one part in here where even I was blown away, and even I took some insight away. So without further ado, I'm going to hop over into the video, and I will see you guys there.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for having me. My name is Emery Britt after the intro and everything. But so essentially to run you guys up to where I am at this point, how I got here. So let's take it back like 4 months. I was working for one of the biggest companies in the world doing some IT recruiting, which is essentially sales for people. And fortunate for me, I was laid off. So that kind of threw me for a huge turnover in my life. My life was kind of thrown upside down, and I didn't necessarily want to go straight into finding another job exactly like what I was doing. So what that led me to do is, like everybody else in the last probably 2 years, is I went down the side hustle list and I tried everything. And a lot of them, all of them really didn't work out. That's why I'm not a successful drop shipper here talking to you about drop shipping. So what that led me to is talking, or I guess learning about something that I'm somewhat good at, and that was marketing of people. Translates to email marketing, which is actually what I started my agency doing, was just simply email marketing. There was no social media in it at all. And I started with one of my friends who also was into the email marketing side of things. He was on the design side. I was on the copywriting side of things. And realistically, looking back and knowing what I know now, you don't need someone else's help to do any bit of starting an agency, at least for the beginning, until you get super busy. So that led me to, essentially we just split up, and like we're still friends. That's all good. But he quit. He wanted to go on his own. And then I don't know if he got any clients or not, but he ended up just quitting. I stuck to it. And that kind of leads me up to where I'm at now. And I'm servicing like 5 or so clients at this point. 3 of them are paying me. And then the other 2 are free trial, which leads me into kind of what this entire kind of class is about, is how to get your very first client, which I started out as a free trial client.
Awesome. Well, let's get into it.
All right. Starting off, how to get your first client. And like I mentioned earlier, this is your free trial client. So this is essentially what is going to set you up for success through, getting paid clients. So step 1, pick your niche. And the reason I put this as step 1 is because this was the biggest thing that I kind of struggled with along the way. And you do not want to be one of those people that niche hops. Me and Dylan were actually just talking about someone that's niche hopped probably 30 times in the last, few weeks, and he is probably going to quit his agency and probably never see any success. So good reason not to. So the 3 things that your niche needs is easily available. And what I mean by that is I want you to be able to easily access these people. If they're a chiropractor, you need to be able to easily find a huge list of hundreds, if not thousands, of these chiropractors and be able to reach out to them relatively easy. The other thing is spend money. They can spend some money, meaning that they can pay you. Not initially, but they need to have the capacity to pay you. And that is something that I didn't think of initially. And I just wanted to work with anybody that wanted to sign me up or sign up with me to have some sort of service done for them. But in the end, you're doing this to make money. Makes sense. And then I put you're able to talk to them. And what I mean by that is you can resonate with the industry more so than the business owner. So, for example, like if you choose gyms as your niche, you need to be able to know what a dumbbell is at least and not sound like a big dummy when you're talking to these business owners because they're never going to hire somebody if you don't know what a dumbbell is. And if you don't know how to sell to the average gym goer, which should be you, then you're probably just not going to make any waves in this industry at all. So pick a niche that you're somewhat resonating with. And then next up, find out their main online presence. And this kind of goes with finding out where they spend their time, meaning like Instagram is a great way that is very free. And that is probably just the main outreach place that you're going to find these people. Next will be determine your script format, meaning like going back to DMs. If you're going to be sending DMs, that is going to be a very different layout than if you are sending emails. Emails are going to be a little bit more professional. You can send a little bit more information in that initial cold email versus a Instagram DM where you have to kind of break the ice a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is go through an entire Instagram
Hold on,
DM example.
let me just jump in real quick. I wanted to add something there. So what I heard from you is that you meant to more or less contextualize your outreach script depending on the platform that you were on. So perhaps if you're, maybe outreaching via LinkedIn, because that is where you found that your target audience hangs out, be a little bit more professional. And if Instagram might be a little bit more casual, and then email perhaps provide a little bit more context and maybe be, again, a little bit more professional.
Yeah. So essentially find out where your niche hangs out, spends their time, kind of gets their clients, whatever it may be. And then from there, like if it is LinkedIn, you should probably do a little bit of research on how people communicate on LinkedIn. It's not so much like Facebook messages or Instagram DMs. It's probably a little bit more professional. So that is definitely something that you really need to take into consideration so you don't come off sounding rude or anything like that. You want to kind of match the style of the conversations already going on there.
Now, real quick, if you're getting value from what Emery has to say here, I strongly recommend that you follow his journey. He's one of the most honest, raw, and authentic people that I know on the face of this planet, and he's documenting his entire journey so you can learn from his mistakes so you don't have to make those same costly mistakes. I have his channel in the description. Check it out, and let's get back into this banger presentation.
Yeah, so I wanted to just give a quick DM example for Instagram because this is the niche that I picked. I chose Instagram as the platform that I wanted them to be on because it's free. Plain and simple, you want to be able to outreach as many people as you can without spending any money at all. I did make that mistake earlier on and do a whole bunch of cold email and stuff, and I spent some money on that. So the first message, this is going to be the coldest message that you send any of your prospects, and this is going to be what I call the question. So you're going to format it. You're going to greet them, you're going to compliment them, and you're going to give them a question. You're going to ask a question, a thought-provoking thing requiring them to give you a response. So for an example, for the gym, hi there, I really like the layout of your gym. That is the opener. It's giving them a compliment. It doesn't have to be the layout of your gym. Whatever your niche is, you'll find something like for chiropractors, I really like the services you offer, whatever it may be. And then the question is, are you open 24 hours? And that requires them to give you a response because they somewhat think that you're a potential candidate for selling to you, but they also just need to answer you because that's, normal for them to get DMs similar to that. Yeah, so the question can really be anything that requires a simple answer. You don't want to ask them like, hey, what is the number of plates that you have in your gym? Something that requires them to, they're not going to respond to that. That makes no sense. The second message is going to be, so they're going to have responded to you. And then you're going to have sent this follow-up message, which is a second question asking them for another response. So the format of this is acknowledge, thank them for whatever they said. They're like, yeah, we have whatever it is. And then you're going to ask another question. You want to sound like a real human, so you want to ask some questions, keep it going. So their response was, hello, and yes, we are a 24-hour gym. And then you're going to say, oh, that's awesome. Thank you for your response. So how do people usually join? Is it online or is it in person? And this is specific to the gym niche. You're going to tailor all of this to whatever industry you're talking to. So the "oh, that's awesome" is just acknowledging what they said. "Thank you" is just being a polite, decent human being. People want to respond to people that are just nice people, genuine nice people. And then you're asking a question that, again, will give you some information. I chose how do people usually join because as an agency owner, I would probably want to know that because if people are joining online, then that's something I can probably help them with. If they're all doing walk-ins, then then that's a different level of marketing that you have to tailor your services to. And then the third message is the pitch. This is when you actually go into saying like, here, I'll do this, whatever. Here, we'll get into it in a second. But the format of this is acknowledge again, pitch your services, take the pressure off, and then compliment. And that'll make sense in just a second. So the response that they would have given you to asking that second question is most people come in for a tour, then join in person, but you can join online anytime you'd like. So that sounds pretty normal as to what they would say. Most of the gyms, at least, probably get a lot of walk-ins. So what your response would be is, okay, makes sense. Acknowledge what they said. I actually ask because I'm building up my business that works with gyms to get them new members walking in daily. That says what you do and why you do it. And then from there, this is the kind of free offer aspect of it that gets them really hooked in. Since I'm still building up, I'm looking to partner with you in exchange for reviews and referrals. This takes a lot of the pressure of them just having to throw money at you initially. This makes it a super easy pitch. A lot of people won't say no to free services. Um, so, and then at the end, you say, I'd love to chat more if you have any interest or something along those lines, but I'll talk about it in a second, but you never want to say call. You want to say chat, have a quick conversation, whatever it may be. Don't say call. That's a trigger word. Nobody wants to hop on a call with you if you say it like that. And then at the end, regardless, the gym looks sick. So it takes some pressure off. If they don't want to work with you, they still feel like you're a normal human being that likes their gym or whatever. So it takes a lot of the pressure off. So the key is to sounding like a real person, make it conversational. So you're going to tweak the script as you go, see what people respond to and what questions get a better response without wasting their time too much and making them irritated. So a lot of the aspects of like thanking them in the beginning, taking the pressure off at the end, a lot of that is to ensure that they know that you're a real person and to not make it seem super salesy because these gyms are probably going to get called or emailed or DM'd all the time. You want to stand out as a normal, nice human being that people want to work with. And then from there, it really is just a volume game and a mental challenge. And I say the mental challenge part of this because in the beginning, your script's probably going to suck. Even if you copy exactly what I gave you, it's probably not going to work. You're going to have to tweak a lot of it. It's going to suck. And then that's just part of the game. You're going to have to tweak it. Like I said, figure out what works. You're going to change maybe your intro message a few times to actually get them to respond to you initially. And then you're going to tweak the pitch side of things to get them to actually say yes to it. So it's all just a mental challenge and a volume game. You're going to send out hundreds before you even get the first response, and that's very normal. But you now have an interested business owner, and this is where you're going to take it from here. You're going to sell them on a quick chat that will just take a quick minute. So you're going to sell them on a quick chat that will just take a quick minute. So I say quick chat because it sounds way better than a call. And I say take just a minute because when you say, let's have a conversation, people think like 10, 20 minutes, and nobody wants to do that for somebody that they don't know, for a service that they don't know that they want yet. But you're never going to pitch a call. Schedule this as soon as possible while they're still interested and excited. That means like as soon as they say, yeah, let's hop on a call, I'm interested, or whatever it is, schedule it that day, if not like right at that moment. And that will make them not forget who you are, one, but two, they said yes because they're probably excited about the results that you can potentially give them. And you want them to keep that excitement while you're talking to them.
All right, now Emery might not know this, but he's one of the potential people that I may be partnering with to, let's just say, scale a lot past his 5 current clients. And if you want to take the same path and follow the same frameworks that Emery took, well, you can find those in the links of the description. So selfishly, I make money by partnering with 6-figure agency owners and scaling them up much beyond that. But what I do is because I want more leads for my business, I basically give away the roadmaps and have free coaching programs, free communities, free courses, and all that kind of stuff in order to help you get from wherever you are to that six-figure mark so we can potentially partner. And if you're interested in any of that, check out the links in the description. We got the first client challenge, we got our Discord, and we got much more cool stuff. Anyways, let's get back into the video.
So this is a little bit longer, but the call format, so this is after you scheduled it, after you've, waited however long, you're going to get on the call with them. The first thing is introduce yourself, say, hey, I'm Emery Britt. I was talking to you in the DMs. Thanks for getting on the phone with me, whatever it is. And then I want you to get them talking about themselves. That is probably the key thing that I've experienced in all of my calls that I've had, because I do all mine essentially over the phone. I don't do any Zoom calls or anything with my discovery calls. They're all over the phone. They can't see me. But the key is get them talking about themselves and their business. That's what they love. That's why they're running it or owning it or whatever it may be. So it makes sense. Get them talking about themselves, and people like people that let them talk about themselves. That's what everybody wants to do, fill their ego up, and then they're more likely to say yes to whatever services you offer in the end. So from there, you're going to give them a very brief background on you and your business. This doesn't have to be anything crazy. Don't go talking about how you fell off a bike in third grade and that led you to love bicycles and want to sell bicycles. Nobody cares. That is way too much in depth. Talk a little bit about how you got into marketing, and it doesn't have to be anything too crazy. They don't want to hear about you. You're going to state your services and how you're going to get them to their goal. And obviously the goal is probably something that they're going to have talked about in the initial part where you're getting them talking about themselves. And from here, you're just offering free work, not too hard. Nobody is really opposed to free work as long as they don't have to invest a ton of money. While they will have to invest a few dollars for ads, whatever it may be, they can probably see the end result is probably going to be worth it. So you're going to work from 2 to 4 weeks, depending on your services. It might make sense to run them for 4 weeks or 2 weeks if you're only doing, short-term advertising for them. But the one thing I do not want you to mention is working for free. And I don't want you to mention paying them paying you after the 2 to 4 weeks either. Just let that be. It's kind of assumed. Don't let that be anything. If you get them great results, they're going to be like, oh, I would love to pay you. But don't mention working for free, because people attribute free work to bad work. And that is something that I've experienced. And I have said no to people that offer me free work because I assume that they're bad at it. You are going to exchange your work for testimonies, and you're going to give them these results, but you're not doing free work for them. You are working in exchange for something. So it's not free. And I want to make that very clear, because that is a huge point that you do not want to mention.
That is a banger point. When you offer working for free, people assume you are bad. So you must make sure that they understand that you are not working for free. You are working in exchange for testimonials and referrals. I love that.
Yeah. Historically, even in my sales career, like if someone called me on the phone and they're like, hey, I want to do your outreach for you for free, I'm like, no, I'm probably bad at it. So no. From here, you're going to set an onboarding time. Onboarding, if you're not familiar with that term, it's what we call when you just set up their services, or I guess get access to their systems, meaning like their Facebook business manager, their LinkedIn, if that's something you're doing, their email, whatever it may be. But essentially, this is a more formal call, usually over Zoom or Google Meet or something like that, where you can see face to face and you get access to all their systems. It doesn't have to be anything pitching, because they've already said yes. And then from here, you essentially just show up, do the work, make sure that you are setting your services and doing everything around what their goals are that they mentioned on that initial call, and then following up with them each week on what you're doing to get them closer and closer to that goal.
You've made it very clear to me and to everybody who's watched this video so far that in order to get your first client, or as you've done your 5th client in a very short period of time, it's not that complicated. So why do you think most people never make it that far? And what do you think, or what happened? What was your belief switch that happened internally for you that ultimately led you to have the success that you've had?
Yeah, I think there's actually two parts to what limit the average person from getting to their first client, let alone their fifth or anything. But the first one is I think they're just nervous. They're scared that they're going to sound dumb to people, and or they're scared they've never hopped on a call with someone they don't know. But realistically, that doesn't matter. And that goes into the second point that you flipped the switch in my head a while back with a fishing analogy that if you throw a line in the water, you hook a fish and it comes off before you get in the boat, you're not going to go jumping in after the fish. You're going to try and catch another fish. These people don't matter. You're never going to talk to these people again. If you say something stupid, you're never going to see them in person, let alone get on the phone with them again. And if they're not going to judge you in these situations. They assume you're the professional, regardless of the free service that you're giving them. They assume that you know more than they do, and that is your selling point. You need to be the professional. You need to bring the confidence that these people are expecting from a full agency. So I think that is a two-part thing, but honestly, just mess up. That's part of what makes you a better salesperson in the long run too.
Yeah, and I mean, just to add to that, one of the things that I've experienced and come to the realization is that it's ironic that, a lot of the people that you and I have talked to over the last couple of months have this innate feel of failure when they literally have nothing. They don't have any business, they don't have any clients, they don't have any free trial clients, they have nothing, yet they're still afraid of failure. And I think if you dive a little bit beneath the surface, what it really is they're afraid of failure, not in the general scheme of things, but there's usually, I would have to bet that there's one or two people in these people's lives that they're afraid of failing in front of. And I think if you dive deeper into those, situations, and you get, and like, you actually have that conversation with yourself of like, maybe it's your sister that, maybe you guys haven't had the best relationship, and if she knew that you started this business, and if you fail, she's gonna think of her as the better sibling, whatever it is, right? And when you really dive deep internally and actually look at that, well, then you can ask yourself, is your sister or your brother or your aunt or your friend going to be the person that holds you back from going on to actually chase your goals? Because if that happens, then they really have power over you. And I think unbreaking that could really unlock the keys of growth for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think a big thing that helped me, not necessarily that I've like achieved like getting over that, but just thinking about what they would think when they see you succeed. Like what is their face going to look like when they see you rolling up in that shiny new car? What they're going to think when you're like plastered all over all these social media platforms, succeeding and doing so much better than where you are right now. And then just focusing more on that than the judgment that may happen in the meantime.
Yeah. Especially too. And it's just like, another thing, it's like, the fear of failure. And it's like most people out there trying to start an agency, if your agency failed today, nobody would know,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
Nobody would know.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what the funny thing is when I was starting my business, going back to when I was starting it with my buddy, the thing that I kept telling him the entire time was we will only fail if we quit. And that like is historically very true for a lot of things. I've heard huge business owners say the same thing. They're like, it took me 2 years to see the first profit or whatever it may be, but you just can't quit. I mean, that's the only driver that you need to have is don't quit, find something new,
Yeah.
try it a little bit differently. You'll figure it out.
100%. Well, I appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing all this value. I think there's a lot of people who might just be one or two steps behind you, and this can be a big breakthrough piece of content that could potentially leave massive impact on somebody's lives that You and I have no idea they even exist. And that's kind of the cool thing about YouTube.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what led me here right now.